The early rejection. A dream shattered. Michael Jordan's story didn't start on the grand NBA stage. It wasn't born in the arena where millions watched his sky-high dunks, or at the moment he clinched his 6th NBA championship. No, the origins of his legendary career trace back to a high school gym, when a young 15-year-old Michael stepped onto the basketball court with nothing but a heart full of ambition and dreams bigger than the rim. At this point, Jordan was just like every other kid in that gym, hungry, eager, and determined to make a name for himself in the world of basketball. He wasn't taller than the other players, nor did he possess some natural-born gift that set him apart. He was just a kid with a burning desire to succeed, and he believed, like many of us do, that talent and hard work would carry him forward. But life has a way of showing us that even the brightest stars can be dimmed by circumstances we can't control. Michael's first real test came when he tried out for the varsity basketball team in his sophomore year at Laney High School in Wilmington, North Carolina. He was full of hope, stepping onto that court with the same dreams that filled the hearts of young athletes everywhere. But when the roster was posted, Michael's name wasn't on it. It wasn't that he lacked skill. It was that, at that moment, the coaches were looking for something else. Michael was deemed too short, and the team needed players who were taller. As his close friend's name appeared on the list, Michael stood there, shocked and heartbroken. He had done his best, but his best was not enough. In a flash, his dream had been shattered. To make matters worse, his parents had watched the tryouts, full of hope and excitement for their son. As they walked to the gym doors, they didn't know their son was walking out the door of his dreams. They saw Michael's friend being chosen, and they had expected their son to be right alongside him. But there he was, walking out without a place on the team. It felt like a punch to the gut, a betrayal of everything he had worked for. The tears were inevitable. Michael rushed home, went straight to his room, and shut the door behind him. Alone in that room, he let the waves of failure wash over him, crying for hours on end. In those moments of darkness, it seemed like his dream had slipped away. It was easy to believe that this was the end of the road, that perhaps basketball wasn't in his future after all. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Though his emotions were raw, the rejection sparked something deep within Michael. He could have let that moment define him, could have walked away from the game and chosen a different path. But in that moment of despair, Michael Jordan made a decision. He decided he would not be defined by rejection. Instead, he chose to use it as fuel to push himself further than he ever thought possible. I can accept failure. Everyone fails at something. But I can't accept not trying. This would become his mantra. It would echo in his mind every time he faced a setback, and there would be many more setbacks to come. But Michael had made a promise to himself that he would never give up. The transformation, rising from rejection. The next year, Michael took his first step towards his transformation. Instead of sulking, he decided to pour every ounce of energy into something that would keep his dream alive. He joined the junior varsity team. It wasn't the glamorous varsity spot he had dreamed of, but it was a chance to play. And more than that, it was an opportunity to prove to everyone, especially himself, that he wasn't going to back down. In his sophomore year, Jordan became the star of the junior varsity team. His game improved by leaps and bounds, and he made sure that he never let the memory of being cut from the varsity team slip too far from his mind. Every time he felt the urge to rest, he closed his eyes and imagined the list with his name missing. That thought became his motivation to push harder. But it wasn't just about what he could do on the court. It was about the sacrifice and humility he showed off the court. After one of his games, Jordan wanted to be a part of the action at a major tournament. He wanted to be on the bus with the varsity team. He didn't expect to play, but he still wanted to be a part of something bigger than himself. When he asked his coach if he could ride along with the team to the tournament, the answer was yes, but with a catch. Michael could come, but only if he carried the team's uniforms. At first glance, it might seem like a small task, But for Michael, it felt like another slap in the face. He wasn't a player on the team. He was just the kid who carried the uniforms for others. What made it even more painful was seeing his parents in the crowd, thinking that their son was given a shot to play. Instead, they saw him walking in, holding the jerseys of the players who had made the team. The sight crushed him. It hurt to know that his parents were there to cheer him on, only to watch him be reduced to a mere assistant in their eyes. But again, Michael chose to turn that pain into strength. He didn't let it break him. He wasn't carrying those uniforms because he wasn't good enough. He was carrying them because he knew the day would come when he would be the one wearing the jersey, not just carrying it. The turning point, the power of dedication. By the time summer came around, Michael had grown. He had gained 4 inches in height, but more importantly, he had gained something even more valuable, an unshakable commitment to his craft. His work ethic had become unparalleled. While other kids might have been resting, Michael was training relentlessly. He knew that greatness wasn't handed to anyone. It had to be earned. And earn it he did. That following year, Michael made the varsity team. And not only did he make it, but he became the team's best player almost immediately. His talent, paired with the lessons he learned from rejection, became unstoppable. His work ethic paid off in ways that words can't fully capture. His hunger to prove himself was no longer a weight. It was his driving force. The transformation from the kid who wasn't tall enough to play on the varsity team to the legend who would go on to dominate the NBA is nothing short of miraculous. Michael Jordan's journey was not one of instant success, but of persistence, dedication, and resilience. The legacy, failure and success go hand in hand. Michael Jordan's story is not just about basketball. It's about life. Failure is a part of everyone's journey. Even the greatest players in the world experience rejection and defeat. But it's not the failure that defines us. It's how we respond to it. It's about what we choose to do when life knocks us down. I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times, I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed. Failure became Michael's greatest teacher. It forced him to be better, to work harder, to refine his skills. His story teaches us that the road to success is never a straight path. There will be obstacles, there will be setbacks, and there will be moments when we want to give up. But if we can push through those moments, if we can rise again and again, then success will follow. Obstacles don't have to stop you. If you run into a wall, don't turn around and give up. Figure out how to climb it, go through it, or work around it. Michael Jordan's career stands as a testament to the power of persistence and the refusal to accept failure as the end of the road. His journey from rejection to greatness is a story that resonates with anyone who has faced adversity, doubt, or defeat. As you stand at the crossroads of your own dreams, remember Michael Jordan's story. Let it be a reminder that failure is just the beginning of success. And as long as you keep moving forward, there's no limit to what you can achieve. The transformation, rising from rejection. After the devastating blow of being cut from his high school basketball team, Michael Jordan could have easily turned his back on the game. The pain of rejection was deep, and the embarrassment felt almost unbearable. But rather than allow that failure to define him, Michael made a conscious decision to rise above it. The boy who had been deemed not tall enough to play basketball wasn't ready to give up on his dream. No, he was determined to fight back, to come back stronger, and to prove everyone wrong. Michael spent his sophomore year playing on the junior varsity team. It was not the spotlight he had imagined, nor the path he had dreamed of walking, but it was a chance. It was a chance to get better, to grow, and to lay the foundation for what was to come. While the other players on the varsity team were running drills and getting the glory, Michael kept his head down, focused on the work. And work he did, relentlessly. Every dribble, every shot, every sprint, Michael pushed himself to his limits, determined to show that he was worthy of the varsity roster. Though he may not have been the tallest or the most naturally gifted at first, Michael's commitment to his improvement became his secret weapon. He wasn't going to let his physical limitations hold him back. Instead, he channeled his energy into mastering the skills he could control. The next few months saw Michael refine his technique, elevate his game, and develop an unyielding mental toughness that would define him for years to come. But it wasn't just about skill. Michael's rise from being a junior varsity player to a future NBA legend was about his mindset. While many kids in his position might have felt resentful or discouraged, Michael's mindset was a weapon. He saw every failure as an opportunity for growth. When others would stop, he would push himself harder. He didn't let the disappointment of being rejected cloud his vision. Instead, he used it as fuel to reach the heights he had always dreamed of. One defining moment during that year would mark the beginning of Michael's transformation. Toward the end of the season, he was watching his teammates prepare for a major tournament. The feeling of being excluded stung, but instead of wallowing in it, Michael made a bold request. He asked his coach if he could join the varsity team on their bus ride to the tournament. The coach agreed, but under one condition. Michael could come, but only if he carried the uniforms for the players who had made the team. At first, this seemed like a small, insignificant task, but for Michael, it was a reminder of everything he had yet to achieve. The image of carrying the uniforms for the players who were chosen before him would stick with him for years to come. As he walked into the tournament venue, carrying the gear of those who had been given a chance to play, it wasn't just the physical weight of the uniforms that burdened him. It was the emotional weight of knowing that, once again, he wasn't where he wanted to be. Perhaps the most painful part of that moment wasn't just the act of carrying the uniforms. It was the sight of his parents. They had come to watch the tournament, filled with pride and excitement, expecting their son to be on the court. Instead, they saw him walking in, carrying the gear for others. The disappointment in their eyes was something Michael couldn't easily forget. It hurt him deeply to see his parents hopeful for something that wasn't his reality. But rather than feeling sorry for himself, Michael used that moment as a turning point. He wasn't going to let this setback define him. Instead, he promised himself that one day he would be the one playing, not the one carrying the uniforms. He would show the world, and more importantly, himself, that rejection would not stand in the way of his future success. That summer, as if on cue, Michael experienced his first major growth spurt. He grew 4 inches in a matter of months, but physical growth was just the beginning. He spent countless hours in the gym, perfecting his shots, refining his footwork, and strengthening his body. While many others may have been resting on their laurels, Michael pushed himself beyond the limits of what seemed possible. There were days when he wanted to stop, when he felt exhausted and disheartened. But in those moments, he closed his eyes and thought of the roster from that fateful day when his name was left off. That memory drove him to keep going, to push harder, to be better. The big break, a step toward glory. By the time the next basketball season arrived, Michael Jordan was ready. His growth, both physical and mental, had prepared him for the moment when he would finally make his mark. He was no longer the undersized, overlooked player. He was a force to be reckoned with. He made the varsity team, and not only did he make the team, but he quickly became its best player. His transformation from the boy who was told he wasn't good enough to the player who was now carrying the team was nothing short of miraculous. Every practice, every game, he played with a chip on his shoulder, motivated by the rejection he had faced. He was playing for more than just himself. He was playing for the boy who had cried in his room after being cut. He was playing for his family, for those who had believed in him when the world had not. And most importantly, he was playing to prove that no setback could ever define him again. The lessons Michael Jordan learned during those early years would stay with him throughout his career. Failure was no longer something to fear. It was something to embrace. He understood that failure wasn't a dead end. It was an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to become better. He had learned that rejection could either crush you or push you to rise higher than ever before. Michael chose the latter. The rest, as they say, is history. Michael Jordan's rise from the ashes of rejection to becoming one of the greatest basketball players to ever live was a testament to his unwavering willpower, dedication, and mental toughness. His journey is a living reminder that no matter how many times life knocks you down, as long as you get back up, you can achieve greatness. His story teaches us that setbacks aren't the end. They are just stepping stones along the path to success. It's how we respond to those setbacks, how we use them to fuel our determination, that defines us. Michael Jordan didn't let rejection destroy him. Instead, he allowed it to build him into the legend we all know today. So, Michael's journey was not just about basketball. It was about resilience, about fighting for what you believe in, and about refusing to let failure define your future. His story is a beacon of hope for anyone who has faced rejection or struggle. It reminds us that our dreams are never out of reach as long as we are willing to work for them, to fight for them, and to keep moving forward, no matter what. The rising legend, perseverance meets opportunity. The next chapter in Michael Jordan's life unfolded with a new kind of hunger, one that was fueled by the countless rejections, the endless hours of training, and the lessons learned from years of struggle. It was clear now, Michael was no longer just a player with a dream. He was becoming a force, an unstoppable athlete whose passion for basketball burned brighter than ever. By the time his junior year arrived, Jordan had become a dominant force on the basketball court. His previously overlooked skills were now impossible to ignore. He wasn't simply playing to make the team anymore. He was playing to be the best. His remarkable improvement in just 1 year's time left everyone, including his coaches and teammates, in awe. They had all witnessed his transformation, from the rejected player carrying uniforms to the star on the court. And now, they were about to see his dream take its first major leap forward. The story of Michael Jordan's rise to greatness is not just one of physical transformation, but also mental evolution. Each day on the court, each game, every challenge, Michael had been forging a mindset that would eventually make him legendary. He was no longer just a player trying to prove his worth. He was becoming someone who was playing with a purpose greater than himself. It wasn't just about winning. It was about the pursuit of excellence. And with that mentality came a work ethic that transcended anything the world had ever seen. Michael was already demonstrating traits that would later define him as not only one of the best basketball players in history, but also as a person who understood that greatness was a pursuit, not an endpoint. While many athletes may have been satisfied with just being part of the varsity team, Jordan knew his journey was far from over. He wanted more. He wanted to be the player who led his team to victory, who inspired others with his unwavering drive, who pushed through every obstacle, no matter how impossible it seemed. He wasn't just fighting for a spot on the roster anymore. He was fighting for a place in history. As the season progressed, Michael's talent became undeniable. His play was relentless, his shots perfect, and his energy contagious. He took on every challenge with a fearless determination, playing with a fire that his teammates had never seen before. The boy who had once been sidelined was now the heart and soul of the team, the player they all relied on when the game was on the line. But despite the undeniable progress he was making on the court, Michael was still deeply aware of how quickly things could slip away. The sting of rejection still lingered in his heart, reminding him every day that success could be fleeting if he didn't stay hungry, stay focused. He understood that talent alone wasn't enough to secure a spot at the top. It was about the relentless pursuit of greatness, the constant desire to evolve and grow. His humility in the face of success is what set him apart from the rest. It was during this period that Michael also started to develop a reputation for something more than just his basketball ability, his leadership. Michael was the kind of player who led by example, pushing himself so hard that it inspired those around him to do the same. He didn't just motivate his teammates to be better. He showed them, through his work ethic and his attitude, exactly what it meant to truly commit to something, to give everything for a cause greater than yourself. His legacy as a leader was born in those early years, and it would follow him throughout his entire career. The road to the NBA. A new challenge. As Michael's high school years came to a close, it became clear that he had outgrown the limitations of high school basketball. His talent was undeniable, and his college recruitment began to take shape. With offers from several prestigious programs, he eventually chose to attend the University of North Carolina, a decision that would prove pivotal in shaping the trajectory of his life. Jordan's time at UNC was transformative. He not only proved himself as one of the top collegiate players in the country, but also honed his skills under the guidance of legendary coach Dean Smith. But what really set Michael apart at UNC was his mentality. He wasn't just there to win titles or gain recognition. He was there to perfect his craft, to prepare himself for a future that seemed almost too big to imagine. During his freshman year, he hit the game-winning shot in the 1982 NCAA championship game, marking a defining moment in his young career. The shot became a symbol of his ability to perform under pressure, to rise to the occasion when the world was watching. But even then, Michael knew that this was just one step in his larger journey. This wasn't the pinnacle. It was a moment in the long climb toward greatness. At UNC, Michael developed the skills, discipline, and leadership qualities that would later make him not just a great basketball player, but a true legend. However, just as before, it wasn't his innate talent that made him stand out most. It was his relentless drive. He was willing to put in the work when no one else was watching, practicing shots for hours, perfecting his form, pushing himself past his limits day after day. He was always looking for ways to improve, always determined to become better than he was yesterday. After 2 successful seasons at UNC, Michael was ready for the next step, entering the NBA draft. The 1984 draft would prove to be a life-changing moment for Michael. The Chicago Bulls selected him with the 3rd overall pick, and a new chapter in his life began. However, as fate would have it, Michael's early days in the NBA were not as easy as one might think. His transition to professional basketball wasn't instant success. It was tough. The competition was fiercer, and the expectations were higher than ever. But true to his nature, Michael didn't let the challenges deter him. He thrived under pressure, using every setback as an opportunity to sharpen his skills and develop a deeper understanding of the game. During his rookie season, Michael quickly proved that he was more than just a rising star. He was a force of nature. He scored an impressive 28.2 points per game, earning him the NBA Rookie of the Year award. But even in the face of personal accolades, Michael remained humble. He knew that success wasn't about individual achievements. It was about team success, about winning championships, and thus began his journey to becoming one of the greatest players the world has ever seen. Every championship, every MVP award, every clutch performance in the final seconds was built on the foundation of those early years when rejection, disappointment, and struggle were his constant companions. The lessons he learned during those years shaped him into the competitor, leader, and legend that would dominate the basketball world for years to come. The legacy, a message of never giving up. Michael Jordan's career is a blueprint for how to approach life's most difficult moments. His story is about resilience, dedication, and unwavering belief in oneself. From the boy who wasn't tall enough to play to the man who became the greatest basketball player in history, Michael's journey proves that failure is not a roadblock. It's a stepping stone. Through every setback, every rejection, and every challenge, Michael Jordan's legacy is not simply about his accolades on the court, but about his ability to rise again and again, no matter how many times life tried to knock him down. His relentless pursuit of greatness serves as an inspiration to all who are struggling, all who are facing obstacles, and all who are chasing their own dreams. Michael's story reminds us that we all have the power to overcome adversity. It's not about avoiding failure. It's about learning from it and using it to fuel our success. No matter what we face, the key is to never give up, to always keep pushing forward, and to believe that, with hard work and perseverance, we can achieve the impossible. The unyielding drive. Crafting a legacy. By the time Michael Jordan was playing in the NBA, there was no question that he had already transcended the ordinary definition of talented player. He had become something far greater, a symbol of perseverance, an embodiment of grit, and an example for anyone who dared to dream. But what set Michael apart from other great athletes wasn't just his unparalleled skill on the basketball court. It was his unwavering commitment to becoming the best version of himself, day in and day out. The relentless pursuit of greatness would be the hallmark of his career, defining every moment he played. Unlike most stars who become complacent with success, Michael never stopped pushing forward. The first step to his greatness had been taken when he refused to accept failure after his high school rejection, but it was his mindset that would continue to propel him to new heights. The world knew he had the talent, but Michael knew that even talent wasn't enough. Talent had to be nurtured, sharpened, and transformed into something more. It had to be fortified with an unshakable mindset, a tireless work ethic, and an ability to rise when faced with even the most daunting of challenges. Every season brought new challenges, and with them, new opportunities for growth. As his career progressed, Michael Jordan's fame spread beyond the basketball courts, and he became a global icon. Yet even with all the attention, accolades, and commercial success, his focus remained steadfast. His focus was never about being the most famous. It was about being the best. This distinction between external recognition and inner motivation became a cornerstone of his philosophy. During his years with the Chicago Bulls, the world witnessed something that was unprecedented. Michael wasn't just an athlete. He was a relentless competitor whose drive permeated everything he did. Whether it was preparing for a game, analyzing opponents, or practicing his shot, Michael's attention to detail was legendary. It wasn't enough to be good. To him, being good was just the starting point. He sought perfection on every play, every decision, and every moment. But Michael's pursuit of perfection wasn't about ego or vanity. His approach was about mastery of the game and giving everything he had to his team. Even as his individual success grew, winning MVP awards, scoring titles, and dominating on the court, he never lost sight of his ultimate goal: team championships. His success in the end was inseparable from his teammates. His ability to make everyone around him better, to elevate the game of those he played with, became a central part of his legacy. The will to win, overcoming the ultimate challenges. The Chicago Bulls' dominance in the 1990s was not simply due to the natural chemistry of a well-coached team. It was largely because of Michael Jordan's will to win. The battles Jordan faced were not just physical. They were mental, emotional, and psychological. Overcoming those obstacles time and again formed the essence of his character. One of the most defining traits of Michael Jordan was his mentality in the face of adversity. He embraced the pressure. When the game was on the line, he didn't shy away from the responsibility. He welcomed it. Whether it was sinking the game-winning shot in the NBA Finals or taking on the defense of an opponent with everything on the line, Michael had an innate belief that he could. No, he would succeed. But that belief didn't come from arrogance or confidence in his innate abilities alone. It came from the hours of preparation, the sacrifices, the mental fortitude, and the past failures that he used as stepping stones to his success. One of the most iconic moments in Michael's career occurred in 1997 during the famous Flow game in the NBA Finals. In a crucial Game 5 against the Utah Jazz, Michael played despite being visibly sick and weak, enduring what seemed like insurmountable odds. He could barely stand up on his own at times, but he refused to leave the court. When his team needed him most, Michael delivered a 38-point performance that would go down as one of the most legendary in NBA history. For Michael, it was never about physical condition. It was about mental toughness. He believed in the strength of his will, the power of his determination. It wasn't enough to be able to play. He needed to prove that he was unbeatable, that no matter what life threw at him, He would never back down. This determination translated into an unrelenting approach to every game, every season, and every challenge he faced. Even in the face of injuries, personal setbacks, and intense pressure, Michael Jordan's ability to compartmentalize and focus on his mission was unmatched. He wasn't just fighting for himself. He was fighting for his teammates, for his family, for his legacy, and for the fans who believed in him. A champion's legacy, more than just titles. By the end of Michael Jordan's career, he had etched his name into the record books as one of the most dominant players in the history of professional sports. With 6 NBA championships, 5 MVP awards, 14 All-Star Game selections, and countless other accolades, his resume is unparalleled. But it's not just the trophies that make Michael Jordan's legacy so monumental. It's the intangible qualities that he brought to the game that inspire generations of athletes and fans alike. Michael Jordan didn't just change the way basketball was played. He changed the way the world saw sports. He turned the game of basketball into an art form, into a display of athleticism, precision, and creativity. His dunks, his acrobatic layups, his last-second shots, they were all a reflection of his ability to elevate not only his own play but the entire sport. He showed the world what was possible when you dared to push the limits of human capability. Beyond basketball, Michael Jordan became an inspiration for millions of people across the globe. His story resonated because it was a story of struggle, of setbacks, of humble beginnings. It was a story of a young boy who was told no, who was told he wasn't tall enough, who was rejected time and again. And yet, despite all that, he went on to change the world. His legacy is not just about winning basketball games. It's about winning at life, showing the world that anything is possible if you are willing to put in the effort, make the sacrifices, and face adversity head-on. Michael Jordan's influence extends far beyond the basketball court. As a businessman, he transformed the way athletes interacted with endorsements, helping to shape the modern landscape of sports marketing. His brand, Air Jordan, became an iconic symbol, a representation of excellence, determination, and success. The iconic Jumpman logo, still one of the most recognizable symbols in the world, continues to inspire new generations of athletes, entrepreneurs, and fans who see in Michael Jordan not just a basketball player, but a trailblazer who pushed boundaries in every area of his life. The final chapter, passing the torch. As Michael Jordan's career wound down, culminating in his second retirement in 1999, and then his brief comeback in 2001 with the Washington Wizards, one thing was clear: his legacy was secure. He had done it all. He had conquered the game of basketball and had left an indelible mark on the sport. But what made his journey even more remarkable was how he used his story to inspire others to dream big, to fight for what they believe in, and to never give up, no matter how many times life knocked them down. The lesson that Michael Jordan leaves behind is simple but profound. Never let failure define you. When life says no, when the world tells you you're not good enough, when rejection seems too much to bear, rise up, rise again. Use that setback as a springboard for greater things. Keep pushing, keep dreaming, keep working. The only limit is the one you set for yourself. Michael Jordan's story is a living testament to the power of resilience, the value of hard work, and the importance of believing in oneself, no matter the odds. He showed the world that the journey to greatness is not paved with ease. It's paved with perseverance, sacrifice, and a refusal to quit. His legacy will continue to inspire for generations to come, reminding us that no dream is too big, no obstacle too great, and no failure too final. So, as we look back at the remarkable story of Michael Jordan, we are reminded that success is not just about the destination. It's about the journey, the struggles, and the lessons learned along the way. The legacy lives on. As the final whistle blew on Michael Jordan's career, it wasn't just the end of an era in basketball. It was the end of a journey that had touched the hearts of millions. The game had been changed, the world had been inspired, and a new standard had been set for what it meant to be truly great. But the most important part of Michael Jordan's story is not just the championships, the MVP awards, or the highlight reels. It's the deeper lesson he imparted to each of us. The true measure of success is not how many times you fall, but how many times you rise. Throughout his life, Jordan was faced with rejection, failure, and setbacks. But each time, instead of allowing those experiences to define him, he used them as a source of strength. His story proves that the greatest victories are often born from our darkest moments. Success is not something handed to us on a silver platter. It's something we have to earn, fight for, and continue striving toward, no matter the obstacles. Michael Jordan's career reminds us that talent is just the starting point. Greatness requires relentless effort, discipline, and an unyielding belief in ourselves, even when the world tells us we're not enough. It's about working tirelessly when no one is watching, overcoming obstacles when the odds seem impossible, and rising above every failure to push forward toward the next goal. More than anything, Jordan's legacy teaches us that it's not the achievements that truly matter. It's the heart, the determination, and the resilience behind those achievements. It's the courage to keep going when others give up. His life is a reminder that every challenge, every failure, is an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to improve. It's about refusing to accept no as the final answer, and instead asking, what's next? As we close the chapter on Michael Jordan's incredible journey, let us take his story with us as a source of motivation and inspiration. The lessons he taught us on the court transcend sports. They apply to every aspect of life. Whatever your dream is, no matter how big or small, remember that you too have the power to overcome rejection, to rise from failure, and to create your own path to greatness. Michael Jordan's legacy isn't just in the trophies he earned or the records he broke. It's in the hearts of those who were inspired by his journey, in the countless people who now believe that their dreams are possible because they've seen someone like him achieve the unimaginable. So, as you chase your own dreams, remember one simple truth. Failure is never the end. It's simply the beginning of a greater story. Keep moving forward, and let the world witness your rise. Your greatness is waiting, just as it was for Michael Jordan. This concludes the story. Thank you for watching until the end. I hope you found it enjoyable. If you did, please consider liking the video and sharing it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell for more captivating stories. Have a great day.